program, and that's a general intelligence ability score. People like IQ. You know, as a parent, I got into it. I'm a parent advocate. I got into it because my son is dyslexic. My son is ADHD. So for the dyslexic one, we traveled around and did a whole bunch of stuff. I know this is a TBI talk, so I'm not going to talk too much about dyslexia, but it's all cognitive functioning. Auditory processing is a cognitive, it's a cognitive issue. With someone, it could be, but with my son, it's processing speed, it's memory, and it's auditory processing. So it's a combination of things. So even though you might address the auditory, you still need to address the other areas. Yes?
Even though they're coming 4 or 5 days a week, do you give them things to do at home, like in between, or?
Sometimes it depends. We have an online computer program that they can, if they want it. Typically, it just depends on the age and the appetite. I always ask an adult about their appetite. I don't necessarily ask that about a child because that's not my concern. My concern is to advocate for that child and say, this is what the kid needs. But for an adult, it has to be about their appetite. So, yes and no.
Typically my adults in Colorado Springs, I didn't want to stress a little marriage or relationship at home and require homework because you've got to be tough with them. So no, they did all their work, 5 hours of work at our center.
And the computer program is a great add-on. If someone wanted, I've had kids who wanted to do more, so we've added it on. But if you're doing 5 hours a week, it can be considered more of a burden, and it's like, well, we could do it after, as far as when the program ends, and then just continue.
So, we hear a lot of vision and different kinds of vision deficits. So, I'm just curious, are you ever getting somebody who comes in and says, I can't focus on that, or just from a visual perspective or a dizziness perspective, double vision or whatever, that they're not ready for it or anything like that? Does that get in the way?
I would say yes. With vestibular issues or you're still having double vision issues, while a lot of our exercises were designed by an eye doctor, I'm not going to say that we should be their first stop.
Right.
Absolutely work with you folks, but when they are more functional, or maybe it's as good as they know that they're going to get, then let's train what is there to be strong.
A lot of these exercises, do remind me of a lot of directionality
and that's just one little slice.
Yeah.
I mean, out of 50, 60 exercises, each
Right.
one.
Yeah, I have our think book there, so I was going to try to do a memory hold exercise if we had time, but questions are probably.
The people who do the training, are they therapists or what? Are they all some kind of therapy background?
No, so what they are, they're college grads who go through our program. We give them 20 hours of training and then 10 hours of hands-on. So essentially, there's certain things that you have to be a good trainer. It's kind of like a personality. It would be that of a good physical trainer, someone who's a motivator, and then good processing speed and good auditory processing skills. Because a lot of this stuff, if I'm sitting at a table with someone and they're looking at it this way, it's upside down and backwards to me. And they're going at 160 beats. I need to be ready to go with them because I got to be able to tell whether you're making a mistake or not.
Paraprofessionals, think of OT or PT assistants. The brains of our program is in what the exercises that were developed, taken from many different disciplines, but no, we train them in our method.
Yes.
Are these activities that you created, are they published for other people to buy, or it's just for
It's just for LearningRx. It's proprietary to us.
Mm-hmm.
So Ken, who developed the program, Dr. Ken Gibson, started out as an optometrist, got into visual therapy, added a cognitive piece, was dyslexic himself, added an auditory piece, and that's how the whole program came together. And that's about a quick 25 years of his life, just figuring stuff out. So it wasn't like it was a Tuesday afternoon.
I know you talked about your outcomes, looking at the attention. Did you do anything about functionality? I know you said that one person went back to school. What other? Does anyone ever talk about other functional gains that they're getting besides just their attention's better, but?
To increase their processing speed, to double that, to now have good logic and reasoning, that you can organize what you want to say, that you don't have that word finding problem. So we don't do functional tests. We want to hear, when I do a program review and go over the results, I don't want to I talk about the test scores absolutely last. I want to hear how in their family, in their life, in their personhood, the kind of increases. And bar none, self-esteem raise is absolutely, I can do that now. I eat that elephant one bite at a time and I can get them all.
In our center, we have a wall full of cards that the kids write their improvements on. So so like for my own self, I'm doing the program. So I know my memory's gotten better. I'm on like line with tech support, and the guy's telling me, "Well, go back to the beginning." And I don't know if you, I'm not a techie, so I hate to go back to the beginning part because then I gotta do every step again and again. And I gotta ask him, "Well, where do I go now?" And I could remember now, or just a phone number that we wrote down on us. I used to carry Post-its all the time, and I couldn't remember. Now I can remember those phone numbers, so it's like, oh wow, I'm coming here at 3:12. I can remember the room where we're gonna be. I don't know why, but now I can. But it's so it's functional. It's just it's kind of all over. It's like when you can pay better attention, well, it affects everything.
Chris is not my only. Excuse me, I didn't mean to. Chris is not my only person who's gone back to school. That's one of the biggest. From sitting in a help group and this is my new normal after a brain injury. Absolutely not. You've invested financially. You've invested into your future. Now you can take notes in college. You can absorb some new teaching and so forth. So
yeah, when you talk about the
lots
cost,
in
I mean,
college.
you asked about the cost earlier about it's more of an it's kind of crazy. I know well you want to say it that way, but it's true. It's more of an investment into yourself and into your future because.
I 100% agree. I just think a lot of the traumatic brain injury population that we deal with here at Rusk are Medicaid patients, a lot
Right.
of them.
Mhm.
So if Medicaid is limiting how much they're giving them therapy-wise here, and they can't afford other health
Absolutely.
options.
Right.
And
we
that's
may
why
not be
he'll
able to
work
move
with you
forward.
on payment plans. I do that all the time in my place as well. If I can stretch out those payment plans, or if we have another family member that will, help in the payment. I don't know if New York has a traumatic brain injury trust fund. We have something like that in Colorado that will help pay for a portion of it. So, More questions?
Yeah, sure.
Just in developing like some of the theory, like behind everything, especially since you mentioned like ADHD and then the brain injury, there was a lot of theory that people in the research are using all different parts of their brain, and they're working overtime instead of focusing their energy with more focal parts of their brain. And there's a few studies on that. Can you speak to some of the theory in terms of how it was developed, in terms of neurologically what's happening?
No, they are not. They don't, I mean, that's more of a medical model, and I don't think that. And you might have a different answer. I don't see LearningRx address that a lot, but because of what we do and the improvements we see, we leave that up to more research. I mean, we are obviously a commercial enterprise, and to more academia and so forth. But
There are some research studies as far as looking at results and more of result-oriented research studies. But
Almost like functional memory would be interesting.
right.
What is actually happening there?
Right, but they do it on, they've done it, and that it's, like you could stim the brain in that area if it's auditory processing, and all of a sudden you've done cognitive training for 9 weeks, and now all of a sudden that area didn't light up 9 weeks ago, and now it's lighting up, so something changed. So I know what you're saying, but it's, yes?
Protocol for grading the exercises, for instance, if they achieve like a certain score on that test, does the trainer who's working with them decide, okay, well, you should start off with these set of exercise and then grade it from there, or is it up to the trainer's discretion where, where to start with that particular exercise or
Right, so when you jump into a program, we basically try to find someone's level.
baseline?
Yeah, just so we start somewhere, so we might start at gold on level 1 and just see how quickly you can do it. So it'll take you literally 10 seconds to get through level 1, level 2. So in a minute, we can pretty much find out, okay, we've moved through the first 3 levels, we're flying. So maybe it'll take 2 or 3 sessions to figure out, okay, where are we at all these levels? Because that's the idea, is to find your level, because where you work and where I work and where he works, completely different. And that's why it's great, because it doesn't help you to work on my level, and it certainly doesn't help me to work on your level. So we find that level, we work right under it, then you pass, we reset the bar. We're always working on complexity and speed. So the metronome is the speed, and complexity is the levels. So, that exercise has 12 levels. So it gets increasingly hard. I'm on level 9 right now, and I'm pretty stumped. Anyone else? Anything else?
Great, thank you very much.
You want another exercise, or is it time to
Actually, we
break?
have to go now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.